David Paul Hammer was already in prison and was convicted of killing his cellmate. It's on record that he was, for many years, in both prisons that McVeigh stayed in for many, many years. And he's written this book, and I've talked to lawyers involved. He was told, we'll stay your execution. We won't execute you if you don't write this book. Can you tell that story and why you're basically forfeiting, it looks like, your life to get your book out, sir?
Well, I'm doing it because I want the truth to come out about two things: the Oklahoma City bombing, and what started me on this journey was Kenneth Trinity being killed at the Federal Transfer Center, and my having contacted his brother, and it just led from there. But in September of this year, after I'd sent out bits and pieces of my manuscript for my latest book, and the feds had copies of it through prison officials, two people claiming to be FBI agents showed up, and I was taken out to a conference room where they showed me badges and credentials, and told me that they went a little preliminary conversation and told me, look, we know about the book you're writing and the contents of the book, and we have the authority to tell you that if you will not write this book and not publish this book at this time, that you will not face resentencing for the death penalty. And that if you don't, if you don't accept our offer and you continue to write this book, we will use the full might of the United States government against you to ensure that you are executed. And
have you seen the emails from the current Attorney General at the time, the Deputy Attorney General, which have even been on the Drudge Report, where he's saying this is like D-Day. We've got to get down there and cover this up. This could destroy us. I mean, I guess we could, guys, pull up the Eric Holder emails on Oklahoma City. I want to show those to people. It's all over the web. Were you aware of that?
I've never seen those, but I have seen the emails in the Trinity case from Eric Holder when he was Deputy Attorney General, where they did what they called the Trinity rollout plan to postpone the release of the OIG's report.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I've seen those. I've seen all of those email exchanges, and ultimately it's up to Eric Holder to decide whether or not I will be tried again. I guess I should explain that in 2005, a federal district court overturned my death sentence in order that I be resentenced within 60 days. That the government seek to a resentencing hearing that would be held before a jury, and they would once again decide whether or not I receive death or life without parole. The government subsequently appealed that, and ultimately the Third Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals told the government that they didn't have jurisdiction until after I was resentencing, and that we're at that point now. The government has decided that they're going to allow us to present evidence to the Justice Department, and then Eric Holder will make a decision. The prior decision was made by Janet Reno in my case, and a decision has to be made by Eric Holder. So obviously my attorneys were very upset that I decided to go forward with this, because in my book I'm not very friendly to Eric Holder, because I print the facts about Eric Holder's involvement in the Trinity case.
How can people read the book?
It's available. The name of the book is Deadly Secrets, and it's available at authorhouse.com. We also have a website, deadly-secrets.com. You can get information for ordering the book there.
But you've been unable with audio to put this out in your own voice. So correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time that you've been able to speak about this on air.
This is the first time live. I did one recorded conversation or interview a couple of weeks ago, but this is the first time that I've been able to do it live and with a national audience.
Is that recorded tape been released?
Yes, it's on the internet. It was with Scott Shannon, and if you go to my website, www.deadly-secrets.com. There's a link there to an hour and 27-minute interview that I did. Good. I'm glad that others have gotten it out. Good job to those folks. Wow.
This is so amazing. It turns out people have been trying to get a hold of me involvement with this case in the last month, and they haven't been able to get through to me. I've just got to figure out some way with all the data we're getting to go through it all. In the time we've got left, again, other points you want to make about McVeigh, how you learned about the Oklahoma City case through the Trinidad case, and that's the case that's got all these federal documents out. They thought, he was somebody involved. They were trying to get rid of the witness. They tortured him to death. That's on record. Just so incredible. Please continue.
Well, I guess I should say a couple of things. I'm from Oklahoma. I was born and raised there. And I never thought I would be on death row with Timothy McVeigh. But, sometimes, things happen and strange twists and fate. I would say that I guess I want to get back. I mentioned earlier about the government's prior warning. I mean, it's out there in the public domain about Carol Howe having told her handlers with the ATF about Strassmeyer and Dennis Mahan casing the buildings. And
I want to back you up. She was an ATF infiltrator, left hand not knowing what the right hand. She worked for them on record, and they indicted her because she wouldn't shut up, and then she defeated that.
Right, she was acquitted. She was ultimately acquitted, but during her trial, the facts came out that yes, she had told her handler all about the planning for a bombing from pretty much launched from Elohim City. Again, if you look at Strassmeyer, if you look at Andreas Strassmeyer. I mean, he was here illegally, and ICE had a warrant out for his arrest. The ATF had to be on the lookout out for him, and they actually planned a raid on Elohim City for February of 1995, 2 months before the bombing. And for some unknown reason, Bob Ricks, who was in charge of the FBI in Oklahoma City, directed the ATF and the FBI in Tulsa not to have that raid.
So there were good government people trying to stop this, and it also came out in federal documents, two separate groups. They blacked it out in one, blacked out in another, but you could put the two over and basically get the full memo, and that's also been in mainstream news, mainly the papers out of Utah, where Mr. Trinidad has been working on the case, his brother killed. And in there, it talks about Southern Poverty Law Center with infiltrators in there as well. Do you have any Southern Poverty Law Center info?
Well, Tim didn't know, or seemed not to know, that people from the Southern Poverty Law Center were actually in Elohim City. He did mention a lot of informants at Elohim City. It was known as ABC Alphabet City. Amongst some of the Patriot crowd, and McVeigh referred to Elohim City that way several times. There are other documents about the government having prior warning, or McVeigh mentioning the fact that he was working for the government. His initial attorney in this case was in Oklahoma City, who later withdrew because of a conflict of interest. In the McVeigh defense documents, which are now in the University of Texas in Austin in their archives, and that's where I've been able to get tons of the McVeigh defense documents. His first attorney, he told his first attorney that he was actually working for the government. And there's a report all about McVeigh, and when he found out that the attorney had divulged this information to an investigator and to his current legal team, he went ballistic. So I think that's a big point that people need to realize, is that Oklahoma City was two things. The government had prior knowledge that something was going to happen, and McVeigh did not act alone, and he didn't act just with the assistance of the 40 Heirs and Terry Nichols.